So I've recently been seeing on Twitter and YouTube, social media in general, uh, a lot of people having a lot of things to say with regards to Deontay Wilder and the rumor that his next two opponents have already been lined up, and those two names of those opponents are Luis Ortiz and Adam Kownacki, and people are pissed off that one of those names is not Anthony Joshua, and rightly so, because as boxing fans, we want to see the best fight the best, and we're in a position where two heavyweights are in their prime, and we just want to see them get in the ring, have a fight, and unify the division totally, become the undisputed world champion. We can all enjoy the fight and then go home with big smiles on our fucking faces. But that's not going to happen because, like I said, these rumours about Deontay Wilder already having his next two opponents lined up means that this fight isn't likely to happen for another year. Now, I've been surprised about the way people have reacted for two reasons. Firstly, I've seen a lot more Americans react in a negative way when they kind of read this news, or when a tweet with this information is on Twitter. I've seen a lot more Americans react negatively towards Deontay Wilder than I have previously. I've seen a lot more YouTube videos from American fans talking about the fact that Deontay Wilder doesn't really want this smoke, as they say, stateside. The other reason that I'm surprised is that people are surprised. I'm surprised that people are reacting in this way, like we didn't already know this. Like we haven't already known this for fucking over a year. I'm surprised that people actually thought that Deontay Wilder's team wanted to make this fight, or want to make this fight in the foreseeable future. We know this. We know they don't want that fight. We know they don't want it to happen. So why are people outraged all of a sudden now? Is it just finally beginning to... Has a penny finally dropped for people? Have they finally just realised that all of the stuff that's coming out of Deontay Wilder's mouth and Deontay Wilder's camp, it's just like a smokescreen. It's just a smokescreen. We knew it was like just 100% confirmed for me personally when that offer from Eddie Hearn and DAZN went out to Team Wilder for that 3-fight deal for over $100 million, and they somehow found some wiggle room in that deal. Oh, well, we didn't want to be tied down. We didn't want to be tied down to a long-term deal. And we didn't know what was on the other side of the table. So how can we agree to a deal when we don't know what the value of the deal is? Miss me with that fucking bollocks, man. It's just a load of shite. The only way this fight will happen in the next year or so is if it happens on a PBC card on Fox or Showtime. In my opinion, that is genuinely the only way this is going to happen. And you know what the kicker is in all of this? They don't have the funds or the resources to match any offer that comes from the other side of the street, which is DAZN and Eddie Hearn. So they're just going to make their excuses, find some room to wiggle in, and get out of the fucking way and do whatever they need to do against whoever they're going to do it with. It's just that simple. This is a lot bigger than a heavyweight boxing match. I don't want to sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist, but the reason why this fight hasn't already happened is because Al Heyman, PBC, whoever the fuck runs that ship over there, they can't afford to let their prized asset fight on another platform and risk him losing. They can't. They just can't do it. And they can't attract Anthony Joshua over to Showtime or Fox because they haven't got the money to match what DAZN are willing to pay for that fight. The Zone's pockets are just way too deep. They cannot compete. They just can't compete. Al Heyman, personally, he's got a fucking fortune. He's probably like DuckTales. He's probably got a room full of gold coins that he just swims a fucking round in. But he's not going to use his own personal wealth to get the rights for a fight that isn't going to make him the money back. It just won't happen. Showtime aren't going to invest over $100 million in a fight and then not make that back. They just won't do it. The only outlet that are willing to invest more money in this fight than they will make back is DAZN. And the reason they're willing to do that is because they need to start building up an audience. They need to build up their subscription base. And the only way to do that is to attract boxing fans or sports fans with big shows like this. But the problem that we have in boxing, generally speaking, in the States, it's a false economy. Everyone's spending more money on their shows, on their fighters, on their purses than they're actually making back. Because they're all involved in this fucking power struggle. The only thing that I can see happening is at some point, the rights are going to come up for major sports in the States. For fucking American football, basketball, and whatever else they watch in that country. Because they're the only fuckers that watch those sports. And when them rights come up, the DAZN are going to start investing their money into trying to acquire them rights. And their budgets for boxing are going to start going down. And when that happens, Deontay Wilder's going to be looking at fucking Shelly Finkel. He's going to be looking at Al Heyman. And he's going to realise he left $100 million on the table, listening to his so-called advisors, taking way smaller purses, fighting against people that no one really gives a fuck about. And by then, it will be too late. It's as simple as that. Something's got to give here, but there's no fucking leeway on either side. If Deontay Wilder was really a quote-unquote free agent, if he was really a quote-unquote boss, he would have taken that deal when it was on the table. He would have backed himself. He would have won that belt off Joshua. He would have knocked him the fuck out. And then he would have gone back to Showtime or gone back to Fox and become an actual pay-per-view attraction and had a few more fights on that platform and just sailed off into the sunset. But I believe he's like Luis Ortiz. He really just doesn't believe that he can win that fight. The fight with Joshua is his holy grail. Whereas for Joshua, the fight with Wilder isn't his holy grail. His holy grail is that one last belt. That's all he wants. He don't give a fuck about Wilder. That's the difference. That's the difference. So when people are getting all up in arms about Wilder having these two opponents already lined up, don't be. Why are you upset about it? They don't have a choice. They cannot offer Joshua the kind of money that Joshua's team can offer Wilder to get that fight on. So they'll just avoid it. And if you're going to avoid Joshua, what are you going to do? You're going to have to plan. You're going to have to plan ahead. You're going to have to line up other opponents to help build his profile. And he's going to try and do that against Luis Ortiz and Adam Kownacki. I just hope for his sake, for Wilder's sake, that he doesn't get knocked out in the process. Because right now, he's just a pawn in the PBC's game plan. He's just being used. He doesn't realise this, but he's just being used. They don't have his best interests at heart. If Al Heyman was actually an advisor, if Shelly Finkel was actually a manager, and they actually believe that Wilder can beat Anthony Joshua, they would have advised and managed him to take that deal that was on the table. They didn't. Joshua's going to fight on June the 1st. Presumably he'll win. Eddie Hearn will be standing around and with all these fucking YouTube media people throwing questions at him left, right, and centre. Eddie, who's next? Eddie, who's next? Eddie, who's next? Eddie Hearn will say, well, I'm gonna go and sit down with John Skipper and we're gonna try and iron out a deal. And then John Skipper will go and sit down with Deontay Wilder and his team, and then he'll offer him even more money, and Wilder will turn it down again. Mark my fucking words. Anyway, put your comments below. Don't forget to share this. Don't forget to like this. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll catch you on the next one.